It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, well, there's been so much talk from this government that it knew best how to get this economy back on track during the election campaign. Vote National, we stand for a strong economy. The other guys have no idea. Look what they've got us into. That's how it was sold to us, so the country voted that way. But 2024 was flat, and the supposed bounce in 2025, well, where is it? It hasn't happened. And it won't happen. In short, she's a dog out there. People have lost confidence, I think, in themselves and in New Zealand. And 190 good, hard-working, skillful, proven and experienced workers, they ditch New Zealand for Australia every day. They're not just in their 20s, they're in their 30s and 40s. 190 people every day. So there's probably one or two people leave during the duration of this podcast. 190 per day for each and every day of the year. My two nieces have gone this year, gone. They ain't coming back. And here's the thing, I personally think people are voting with their feet because they don't see this thing turning around quickly. This rut's here to stay. And listen to Christopher Luxon this week. Even he now sounds resigned to being in this flat period. For a marketing and sales man, where is his ambition? Where's his hype? Where's his sales pitch for New Zealand under his leadership? Where's the good bit? Sell it to me, Chris. But even he can't now. Just 18 months into his first term, it's he's accepting that we're so far behind we can't catch Australia. And that people need to go and they will go and there's no other option. Is this the best that he can do? Watch this.
When is this country going to be good enough for them to return? Well, that's why I want to come to government. That's what I came 4 years ago, because you want to build a proposition here that people say there's an awesome future. If I work hard, I can get ahead. I can move around my country feeling safe. I can actually get a great education for my kids. Parents can get healthcare. So that's what we've got to do. So we're not good enough at the moment, are we? Well, I mean, the reality is this, which is that when you hit recession, people actually naturally want to look at opportunities in other countries that are better performing. The second thing is, people will say, we had a bubble post-COVID of people who do their OE and all that sort of stuff. The good thing is we've got positive net migration. The number of people coming in is greater than the number of people leaving. Although it's low by historic standards. By design, because we actually we were too high. If you remember when we first came to government, we were at 130,000, I think, plus net migration. I think we're down closer to 30 at the moment.
But this government was meant to turn things around. And it's proving much, much harder than perhaps they all thought. Confidence is shot. Chris Luxon had another go at this as well. But those skilled Kiwis
I agree.
who
are leaving, the size of Napier on a plane as an economic refugee, do you agree that New Zealand's not good enough for them? Well, what I agree is that in recessionary times, as we've seen in our past, people will make choices to go to places where they perceive there's more opportunity. And then that is the job of our government, is to create the conditions that they can see a future here. Well, let's look at the latest numbers. I think we can do that, but we've got some work to do. When do you think this country will be good enough for them to return? Well, I mean, we're doing everything. You can't say a date, but what you can do is make sure everything you're doing every day is about doing the things that, I honestly believe, if we grow the economy, if we restore law and order, deliver world-class education, better healthcare, that is the reason for why people will stay here.
Could he be any weaker? I mean, even on the most generous maths, it could be 12 years before New Zealand closes the wage gap, and that's if Australia doesn't grow at all. And we grow at our average. It's purely hypothetical and to make the point. But we're miles behind. And, of course, Australia will grow. So we're never going to catch up. Truth is, we're falling so far behind every year, we won't catch them. But he doesn't even bother trying to convince anyone that his plan is working, whatever the plan is. He's like a fly-on-the-wall commentator. This government, to me, is battening down the hatches to get the books and spending in order. You rarely hear much from this government that's usually positive. It's all doom and gloom and cuts here, cuts there, cutting this, cutting that. And some of it's simply made up. Nicola Willis says the country's run out of credit cards. That is a big fat lie. The government has plenty of headroom to borrow. It can borrow more should it wish to. It's the country's families that have run out of lines of credit. The government's got a balance sheet. They can borrow all the time, cheaply. They've got plenty of options. Nicola Willis' statement was simply untrue. And that's a vote of no confidence in this economy, isn't it? When people leave, they look at things like that statement. They look at Luxon's statements. They look at if they're ambitious, where's the ambition? It's a vote of no confidence in the economy for people to leave, isn't it? But the very people we need to stay here to turn this whole thing around are going. When talented people leave, we should be really, really worried because they're the people that know how to make economies perform better. We are losing the very people who may have had the answers that we need to turn the ship around. So what happens in 2026? By the looks of it, more of the same. Hopefully the low interest rates and the low interest rate environment means we will see more companies invest, have better access to capital, hire more staff and grow. But that was meant to happen this year. We keep pushing this out and the promised better times haven't arrived. And how long can National keep blaming the last government? This is going to wear thin. And as a result of depressed employment markets and lower economic activity, there's now lower growth expected. But how can you call it the growth budget last week when we've got lower growth? We've got everything going backwards. That's what it was called by the government, the growth budget. It's a farce. It's only a growth budget when you rework all your growth expectations, all your spending expectations and your plans and revenue downwards. They've taken it all backwards since December. That's not growth, that's going backwards. How can something be a growth budget when all the numbers the government gave us in December have been revised downwards and sharply? They'll spend billions less because they expect to get 10 billion less in revenue due to the shrinking economy. Does anyone else see this as a crisis? Because I do. What's the proposition for New Zealand and New Zealanders? National sole intent heading into year 3 appears to still be about making savings and saving money elsewhere. Is this transforming anything or changing anything? It's not in the big areas, is it? It's not. I'm not attacking any of the big decisions that need to be made, in my view, which could make a difference. I won't touch New Zealand Super. It's fiddling with welfare, but it's all at the margins, and National's frightened to do what it really knows it should be doing. And it's hoping that the private sector is the driver of growth by going and investing in plant and hire equipment and everything like that. And they'll get a 20% return on that, you see, because they're getting that depreciation on it. But the private sector is a possum in the headlights right now, and no one's putting their hand up to lead anything. God, they won't even lead you into a brown paper bag. Sure, they're building roads and hospitals, and that's what we expect governments to do. Is we pay taxes. But infrastructure projects are slow. Where's the benefit of the fast-track law that Shane Jones has passed to get New Zealand working and building again? All that hype and not much to show for it. What does Luxon have to hold up and show the country in 18 months' time? So 18 months, we're right on halfway now. Seymour's taking the reins of Deputy Prime Minister. That'll be interesting. But what does Luxon really have to hold up and show the country in 18 months? What can he say? What can he show off and say, see, I was the right guy. Here it is. He hasn't really got anything. You tell me. Leave us a comment. But he says we'll have a wafer-thin surplus in 28-29 of a couple of $100 million. It's so small, it's irrelevant either way, isn't it? Yeah, okay, so we tick a box if we get to $200 million in surplus. It's all creative accounting. It's highly possible we won't get there, given it's so small. It can easily flip over the other way. We may not get there at all. And yes, the opposition's a mess and can't tie its own laces or put one foot in front of the other. And it can't really even say things decently most days. And it begs two questions. Is this the best we can do right now in New Zealand? And when are the better times going to come? And we need to be better and do better because wages in Australia are now 35% higher. And the gap increases daily, 35% higher. If I just repeat that one more time, I think Isaac might go. He might get on the plane. And we need to do better because now who else will pay for the care to fund our ageing population? It's a massive boost in the ageing population. How do we fund that? Even immigrant numbers into New Zealand have slowed. We need to do better so we can fund cancer treatments. We simply can't let the sort of disease of low expectations continue in New Zealand. It's all very well saying and pointing out what a deluded bunch of misfits the opposition are, and they are, I reckon, right now. Neither Labour, the Greens or Te Pāti Māori would recognise a middle New Zealand nuclear family and their aspirations even if they fell over one on their way into Parliament. They are identity activists pushing culture wars and high-tax solutions that surely would send thousands more scurrying for the departure gates if they got in. They appear to represent such radical far-left ideas and solutions that they are so far from where ordinary New Zealanders are. And you've got to ask yourself, can New Zealanders actually even trust them again? And especially with Te Pāti Māori and the Greens in tow, the prescription for New Zealand is fewer jails, fewer prisons, more taxes, more spending, open-ended treaty settlement process that would reopen. It would mean it never ends. It means it's unaffordable economic lunacy that would bankrupt us. Last one, turn out the flickering lights probably. But that's their problem to fix. That's the opposition. Luxon's in charge. It's now on his watch that we are really struggling. Pointing fingers is a cop-out, and this week I thought he had a few lame answers. It's almost like he's given up. Oh, well, I can't get them back from Australia. Because he can't. He doesn't have anything to dangle in front of them and say, hey, have this. We got nothing. They've got the salaries, they've got the jobs, they've got the lifestyle. And he appears to be crossing his fingers and toes and hoping like hell that a silver bullet appears that he can claim credit for. Otherwise, if the economy is doing poorly come election time, this time next year, he will face not just the music, but some hard questions about whether he has ever had any idea how to do this. Luxon needs evidence and signs that the economy is doing better. He desperately needs some wins on that front. Because if we're all feeling like this in a year's time, there's not much to show for our hard slog, Luxon might find that public sentiment shifting against him. He's banking on people being scared of Te Pāti Māori, but he needs much more than that. He must convince us that he knows what he's doing. And so far, I think, especially around the economy, the jury is out. Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner. Okay, that is us. Thanks for your feedback and your support. And please let us know what you think and give us some comments around tonight. Get in touch with our social media, Duncan Garner Podcast on TikTok, Instagram. Flick us an email, Duncan@rover.nz. Isaac, thank you, brother. Are you getting sick of the negative stuff around the economy? It does get a bit grim, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely starting to sound a little bit scary when you consider
yeah.
the interview you had yesterday with Shay as well,
yeah,
in the job market, and that comment about how we're 12 years to catching up to Australia, assuming they don't move. It's like, ooh,
assuming they don't move. It's a ticket to want to go there, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, I've definitely thought about it. Nothing too serious, but I quite like Melbourne. I think it'd be fun to live in Melbourne. Then there is also the thought of maybe having a snake in your bedroom every now and then. But
you just get a snake catcher.
I love New Zealand. Don't get me wrong, but
it's hard to love at the moment, though, eh?
It is, yeah. And it's like when you've got a government that was pretty much their entire campaign was about getting the country back on track and sorting out what Labor messed up, and now all of a sudden they're just kind of going like, well, we tried.
Would you go? I mean, do you feel? I mean, I try and stay upbeat, but I'm just surrounded by this stuff that even Luxon, if you listen to him in that podcast tonight, even Luxon doesn't have any answers. He couldn't give us a best sell about coming back. He's like, oh well, maybe we'll. That's it. I got nothing for you.
Yeah. It's a bit. You can't look at it and go like, ooh, okay.
There's national lacking ambition. Is it the same old record? Cuts. I'm sick of cuts. Can we grow?
Yeah. And you're right. Like you've got to, if you want your tourism to boom to get more money, you've got to
invest
have something that's worth coming to. You know what I mean? And so you got to input before you get the output.
The Kaikoura's got a new swing, isn't it? A big swing, apparently.
Kaikoura's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it's nice. You can probably get there pretty easy. All right, mate. Well, yeah. Oh, God. Well, give us plenty of warning if you're going, okay?
Don't worry.
Jump in your suitcase, mate. So to my guys, thanks so much. Remember, life's no dress rehearsal. No curtain raiser. This is it. So let's go and rip into it. Get it by the ghoulies and throw it around. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth. So get out and enjoy it and have a great rest of the day. And take care, New Zealand. Ta-da.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.